We're gonna do something new on the channel today. We're talking about a point and shoot film camera, something I use all the time, but I haven't covered before. This is the Polaroid Flip. Let's go see what it can do. This video is sponsored by Polaroid, so it's going to be a showcase of the camera, not a detailed review. And what the Flip is all about is merging the instant camera experience that you would expect from Polaroid with the most modern features available. We're going to be going through those throughout the video. And before we dig into the details, I'm going to tell you a little story so you can learn from my mistakes and not make them yourself. On the way to Spain, my film went through one X-ray machine. I had people hand inspect it other times, but I didn't realize just how sensitive it is. There's also new X-ray machines. Like if you see round ones, they are more powerful than the old square ones, apparently. And now I've really learned my lesson, just completely avoid X-rays at all cost. So I did shoot a ton of photos in Seville. I got some shots that I like, but they have a more faded vintage look than I expected. As you can see, they look a little faded, got like a 1960s vintage vibe to them, but that's not how they're supposed to come out. They should have nice, contrasty, punchy colors. I wanted to test this camera in a few different environments around Calgary, so our assistant Ala came over to help us shoot, and my mom to model. I started off with some basic little snapshot portraits, just candid, normal, real-life photos, which I think is part of the charm of instant photography, is that it just feels real in a way that nothing else seems to these days. As I go through these, I generally found that I had better results when I was using the flash. I do really like using the flash for instant photography. This one was entirely lit by window light, and you can see the white balance of our windows is shifting a little bit to the daylight of the film. But once you're using the flash, the exposure and the white balance all come out nicely. And I love this one of the two of us. We are sitting near the window, so if I were to do this again, maybe I would lower the exposure compensation and turn on this light in the background, because the right side is dark, the left side is bright, and it has a little bit of an imbalance that I think overall, if it had been a little darker, would have come out slightly better. Let's take a look at the current lineup of Polaroid cameras to see where the new Flip fits into it. So at the entry level, we've got the Polaroid Now Plus, and the Polaroid Go. Then there's the top of the line model, which is the Polaroid i2. That has all the professional features, all the bells and whistles. And in the middle, there's the Flip. This is a really nice balance between the two. It's significantly less expensive than the i2, but is going to give you most of the quality and flexibility. And when you connect it to the mobile app, you open up a lot of those professional features. Connecting the camera to your phone is ridiculously easy. You just open up the app, make sure that the Polaroid is on, and select the model from the menu. You don't have to scan QR codes or enter any details. It just gives you all of the menu options that are available on the back of the camera here. But then even more interesting, at the top here, we've got program mode. So this gives us access to aperture priority and also full manual mode. So you could set every detail about the exposure settings, also the focus. And then once you're ready to shoot, you've got a shutter button. Let's take a tour of the camera so you can see everything about how it works. So starts off being closed like this. This is classic Polaroid design, that all you do to get it going is open it up and it is now ready to shoot. There's a big red shutter button on the front. And if you just press that and you leave it in full auto, you're gonna have a great time. In fact, that's generally what I recommend for instant cameras. I don't like to fuss around too much in the settings, because if you just turn on the flash, point it at your subject, it's generally gonna figure everything out on its own. If the scene is too dark, your viewfinder is gonna give you a red blinking light, just like that. So it's really obvious that something is wrong and you should recompose your shot. When it's time to change to a new pack of film, this button on the side is going to open the ejection slot, and you're gonna pull the film cartridge out by this little rainbow tab. Just make sure that it's empty and you've used all the film before you take it out. Here's a little interesting fact about Polaroid cameras. So this has an aperture of f10. Usually on a 35mm camera, that would mean everything's always in focus and you can't really get a blurry background. But because the film is large, it's sort of like a medium format camera, and you get a lot more bokeh than you would expect. So that f10 can still get a bit of a shallow depth of field. When you're choosing your film, you've got a couple of choices. There's either the classic 600 that you might know from older cameras, or I-type film. The important difference is just that the 600 has a built-in battery, because that's how the older cameras worked. These modern cameras, they actually have built-in USB charging with a rechargeable battery inside, so they're always kind of ready to go. The film doesn't need to power the camera. So I-type ends up being a little cheaper as well. The first thing that's going to come out is called the dark slide. This just prevents the rest of the film from being exposed. The back display is going to tell you exactly how many photos you have left to shoot. Right now I've got 8, which means there's a full cartridge in here. On the side we've got the USB charger, and on the back we've got two control buttons. This is kind of the overall function button. So the first thing it'll do if you just tap it once is turn on the timer, as you can see on the LCD there. If you tap it twice, it'll turn on the double exposure mode, which means you can take two photos. They will expose 2 times over top of each other. And if you press and hold, it's going to turn on the exposure compensation, and you're kind of in a menu there. So each time you press it, it'll move up at first. So now you'll overexpose by a stop, press it again, and you will underexpose by a stop. And the one other button is dedicated to turning the flash on and off. I keep it on almost all the time because that's a lot of the fun of a Polaroid. Now let's go shoot some more test photos. Next, I handed the camera off to Alice so she could test the selfie functionality. This is using the close focus lens. And you can see that on this first one, the background is completely dark. So this illustrates something that I think is important. In this photo, she's pretty far away from those wooden slats. Like she's on the couch, it's maybe like 5 or 6 feet. And the flash is much brighter on her than on the background. And so in the next one, she moved closer to the plant and also the slats, so we can just see more detail behind her. I think this is always helpful. Once you're turning on the flash, just move your subject right up against whatever the background is, and it's going to be lit by the flash as well, and you'll usually get a better result. Next, we took a few of me around the house. Here I am using my Lego Polaroid. I put this together piece by piece over the Christmas holidays, and it even sort of works. It spits out a fake Polaroid photo. Nothing like these real ones, but it's a fun toy. And then here I tried a mirror selfie. It shows off the squiggly lines. I think it's pretty fun, but it just goes to show, like, in instant photos, you don't have that much control and you're kind of just letting go and getting the results you get. I had one person ask, so I want to clear this up a little. There are other instant cameras on the market that are printers. Like, they effectively are a digital camera with a printer inside. This is a fully film analog camera. Like, the digital components are just helping it take that film photo, but there's no digital sensor in here. It's not a printer. This is purely a camera. So whatever is captured on the film was really there in person. Again, I just kind of like that immediacy. It's like there's no ability to manipulate it in between. Whatever the camera sees is what's going to come out of it. And then we went out on the streets, and first we wanted to try to recreate this photo from Seville. Anya got this one where I was in the perfect pose. We tried to get the timing just right. We practiced, but it was slightly off. We missed again, so instead we went for a more standard portrait, which turned out perfectly well. Again, this demonstrates the idea of putting somebody right up against the wall when you're gonna use the flash, and the exposure comes out great because everything is being lit the same, so you get colors from both the background, contrasting with my shirt. And then there's this wide one of Alla walking by this wall, and what's funny is if you look closely, you can actually see the flash lit up snow that was falling in the foreground, and it's just all these little sparkles in the air. And then we drove by this cool new trippy art wall. I think the results came out to be one of my favorites of the day. Again, just flash close to the subject and the wall. Then we went to the coffee shop, and this actually turned out pretty great. Like, all the lighting's right. The flash is on me, but the background is being lit by the environmental practical lights, and it creates this nice, I mean, I'm not saying this is an amazing photo, but this is a great snapshot. I like the way this turned out. One of the interesting things about the Flip is how it handles autofocus, and they have a few different innovations here that make it happen. Now, first of all, there are 4 lenses inside here. Let's get in real close so we can see that lens flipping as the focal distance changes. So I'm getting up close. Boom, did you catch that? Because this can't actually move the lens backwards and forwards like on a mirrorless camera, it has 4 different lenses at different focal lengths. So there's one for up close, like if you're doing a selfie, something for more of a portrait distance, a mid distance, and a infinity landscape distance, so that whatever it is you're shooting, it's gonna be able to get things in focus at those different distances. The other thing it's adding is sonar, which I think is coming out of this little speaker thing, and that's how it's measuring the distance, which is crazy. I've never had a sonar autofocusing camera before. But all that adds up to this having a really clear idea of where your subject's gonna be and which lens to use to get it in focus. One of my favorite things about instant photography is you've also got an instant backup. Like, we take a ton of digital photos all the time, and we don't print very many. We print almost none of our digital photos, actually. So these end up around the house, on the fridge, in our drawers, in books, all over the place, because we bring them to the digital shoot, and the instant photo becomes the one physical memory that we actually hold on to. So I just love having this version of it that feels more tactile and more real than a lot of the digital photos. Another thing is that as AI takes off, physical media starts to feel different because like there's no way I'm altering these like a digital photograph. It's what it is on the print and it stays that way forever. And then we came to the studio. Here's one of me sitting exactly where I am right now. I should have underexposed this a bit. Like I brought it down, but you can also see the white balance setting. So my lights in here are like on the warm side of daylight. And you can see, I think this is calibrated for the flash, which is a bit cooler than daylight. So keep that in mind. A warm daylight will come out very warm in the Polaroids. A cooler daylight is going to be more like the flash and will come out a bit more neutral. So that's what we did next. We went into the actual studio space, tried some double exposures. Now, to get to the double exposure, you tap that function button 2 times and you're able to start seeing the blinking light on the back. This was our first practice shot and it came out okay, but I was overexposed in the image that should have been darker. And the key to all of this is that anything I want to be more visible is bright. So I've got the white shirt in the full portrait, dark shirt in the headshot. But in our second attempt, I think it came out perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping for. And it just ended up like exposing everything right. You can see the dark shirt disappeared. This has got to be like the best shot of the day. This is the high school portrait I always wished I had, but didn't. So I'm very happy with this double exposure. So that is the new Polaroid Flip. If you want to see more from Spain, follow Anya at AnyaB on Instagram. That's where you're going to see more of it. But other than that, join me in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.